The Florida housing market is about to nosedive. So for example, there's more houses for sale right now than any other month since April of 2019. In other words, housing supply is absolutely skyrocketing right now. What's alarming about this is that despite this huge influx of houses for sale, pending home sales dropped to at least an 8-year low for the month of May. Therefore, supply is far outpacing demand in Florida, which should put downward pressure on home prices in the months to come. In today's video, I'll share all the details, including home prices, housing inventory, new listings, and much, much more. And a lot of research went into making this video. So if you guys get any value out of today's video, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Also, if you guys are new here, welcome. I post frequent housing market updates so you guys can make a more informed decision about whether to buy or sell a house right now. And with that said, let's begin today's video. I want to first talk about how each of these states are different because looking at the chart of inventory on a national level and also looking at Texas, Florida, and California, vastly different. Then we'll dive into stats, what we're seeing right now in Florida. So here's altosresearch.com. Here is inventory on a national level. So right now, there's approximately 645,000 houses for sale. This is at least a 3-year high right now. We're still lower than 2020 though, and much lower compared to 2019. In contrast, look at Texas. Texas is at least a 5-year high right now. Inventory absolutely skyrocketing so far this year. So in Texas right now, there's more existing houses for sale than any other month since at least July of 2019. In contrast, look at California. Right now, there's approximately 42,000 houses for sale, much higher compared to a year ago, but lower than 2022. But look at Florida. In Florida, there's approximately 81,000 houses for sale. This is at least, by far, a 5-year high. So for example, in mid-July 2019, only 78,000 houses for sale. Now there's approximately 81,000. So big picture, inventory is actually exploding in Texas and Florida, yet California, inventory is rising from last year, but we're still lagging behind 2022. Every market's different. All right, let's dive into Florida's stats regarding single-family houses. And this is based on a report from the Florida Realtors Association. So for the month of May, the most recent trends we have from then is approximately 26,000 closed home sales. That's a decrease of 0.5% year over year. Now, even though sales decreased by just a little bit compared to a year ago, by my analysis of their data, this is the fewest amount of closed home sales for the month of May since May of 2016. So closed home sales is basically at an 8-year low for the month of May. But again, we have inventory levels rising big time, but despite that, sales are absolutely tanking right now. So supply rising, yet demand absolutely tanking, an imbalance of the housing market in Florida. Meanwhile, the percentage of cash sales in Florida for the month of May is at 28.5%. That's flat compared to May of 2023. This is roughly on par with the national average. On average, we have approximately 30% cash sales nationwide. In Florida, we're at about 28% right now. Also, for comparison's sake, back in May of 2020, the share of cash sales was only 20%. Now it's at 28%. It makes sense. We had a lack of cash sales basically in the last half of 2020 and the spring months. Then because we have average 30-year fixed rates at around 3%, and now the average 30-year fixed rate is around 7%. So we should see more cash sales right now, given the fact that rates have more than doubled from 2020. All right, let's talk about the median sale price in Florida as a whole. That was at $426,581, down slightly compared to the record high that was set back in April this year at $429,900. However, though, the year-over-year gains are actually losing momentum, and also prices decreased compared to April. The gains over the past several years have been quite extraordinary, to say the least though. So for example, the median sold price in Florida has increased a whopping 58% compared to May of 2020. In addition, prices increased by 1.6% year over year, but that's actually the smallest year-over-year gain since September last year. Let's also take a look at this from the Florida Realtors. I believe this is from their chief economist.
Year-over-year growth in home prices was as weak as it's been in several months. The median sale price for single-family homes in Florida was around $426,000, slightly over a 1.5% increase from May of last year.
Now take a look at that. Let me just go back here because look at this. Prices decreased from April to May this year, whereas every single year before that, except 2020, this is probably more impacted by COVID lockdowns than anything else. Every single year prior to 2024, going back to 2011, what do you guys see here? Home prices increased virtually every single year since then, whereas this year, prices actually decreased. So what I'm getting at, over the past 13 years, it's normal to see home prices increase from April through May, whereas this year we saw a decrease in home prices, likely due to the huge increase of inventory right now. Therefore, you guys can mark my words on this. I would not be surprised to see home prices decrease year over year, next month, or the month after that due to the rapid rise of inventory right now. Let's also have a look at the average sale price to original list price ratio. That was at 96.6% this May, a decrease of 0.6% year over year. So on average, for the houses that did close this May, they sold for 3.4 percentage points less than the original asking price. All right, let's also talk about how fast or how slow houses are selling right now. So the median time on the market, this is the time frame when you list your home for sale, and then when you get an offer accepted or you accept an offer from a home buyer, that was at 35 days this May, a giant increase of nearly 30% year over year. This also is more than 3.5 times longer compared to just 2 years ago, back in May of 2022, when back then houses were selling in about 9 days. Now they're selling about 35 days. However, though, I went back to 2019. Back in May of 2019, days in the market was at 41 days. So houses this May are selling about 6 days faster compared to the same time frame in 2019, despite the huge increase of days in the market compared to 1 year ago, and of course, 2 years ago as well. Let's also have a look at new pending home sales. This is a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers that decreased by 1.8% year over year. There was approximately 25,000 new pending home sales, but that's the fewest number of pendings for any May going back to at least, keyword there, at least 2016. On their website from the Florida Realtors, it only goes back to 2016, so I can't look at previous years, but basically at an 8-year low at least for contracts being signed right now. So home buying demand is basically in the gutter right now, despite the huge influx of new listings and housing supply. It's also more normal to have around 30,000 new pending home sales looking at pre-COVID levels. Now we're at approximately 25,000. And the lack of contracts being signed, and of course, houses taking longer to sell compared to 1 year ago and 2 years ago, is all causing inventory to rise further. A common analogy I use on the channel is a bathtub. Think of the water level in the bathtub as the housing supply or inventory levels. In order to see inventory rise, you need to see more new listings or water going to the bathtub, and or for a lack of contracts being signed or a lack of home sales, which would be the drain of the bathtub. So basically what we're seeing right now is that we're seeing new listings increasing big time, especially compared to past several years, but also a huge decrease in sales. So we're basically seeing a plug of the bathtub, but also water coming in at a fast pace, causing the water level or inventory levels to rise further. So basically what we're seeing right now is an imbalance between demand and supply rising at a much faster clip compared to demand. So speaking of new listings, or that's a water supply going in, that actually increased by 15.2% year over year. There was approximately 34,000 new listings this May. That was the most for the month of May since May of 2021. Despite this increase though, like I mentioned, pendings are going down, so supply is rising even further. If the housing market was going up in Florida, if we were to see new listings rising by 15%, one would assume pending home sales would also increase as well. But in fact, we're seeing just the opposite though. Pendings going down, new listings surging. Now, speaking of inventory surging, here's a look at active listings. Again, this is only looking at single family houses for the state as a whole. There was 94,216 houses for sale this May, a giant increase of 60.5% year over year. This, in fact, is the highest level for any other month since April of 2019. Yet sales still decreased. Again, a severe imbalance between supply and demand right now. And because of that, this will likely cause home prices to decrease compared to 1 year ago here very, very, very soon. In addition, there's also 135% more houses for sale this May compared to May of 2022. In addition, this gain of 60.5% year over year is the biggest year-over-year gain since June of 2022. Here's a chart below here. Looking over the past several years, you can see there that inventory basically skyrocketed in this spring home buying season of 2022. And now it has been rising steadily basically ever since 2023, rising again to the highest levels since at least April of 2019. Let's also have a look at the month supply because the month supply in Florida is at 4.4 months, a big increase of 63% year over year. This also at 4.4 months is the highest for any other month since approximately early 2019. In contrast, when looking at the month of May only, 4.4 months is the highest level since at least 2016. In addition, looking at 2022, just kind of laughable here. Look at February, basically like December through April around 2022. Back then, days in the market was at 1 month. Now it's at 4.4 months. So the month supply has basically quadrupled over the past 2 years. Now, here's something I found to be absolutely mind-blowing to say the least. This is actually a common trend, by the way, we're seeing in California and also for the nation as a whole. More expensive properties selling right now compared to 1 year ago, which is impacting the growth rate in the median sold price on a national level in California and also probably in Florida as well. And keep in mind, the median sold price in Florida only increased by about 2%, but we're seeing a giant increase of 14% more houses that sold for over $1 million in the range of $600,000 to just under $1 million, an increase of 3.4%. All these other price segments decreased compared to 1 year ago. So my question for you guys, what do you guys think it would happen if we had a lack of $1 million properties selling? Let's just say here that $1 million properties decreased by 1%, or they were flat compared to 1 year ago. Would we, keyword there would we see an increase in home prices based on the median sold price? Would we see an increase compared to 1 year ago if we saw fewer home sales at the upper range of the market? In my personal opinion, this is likely supporting the growth rate in prices. And again, we're only up by about 1.8% year over year right now. Let's also have a look at distressed home sales and foreclosures as well. So for the month of May, there was 26,036 traditional or just regular home sales in Florida. In contrast, there was only 188 foreclosures or real estate owned properties or REOs for the month of May. And there was only 28 short sales. Therefore, the amount or the share of distressed home sales was less than 1% this May in Florida. And by the way, a short sale is when a homeowner has a financial hardship. They ask their lender, hey, I owe more on my house than what it's worth. Can I sell my house at a loss because I have this financial hardship? That's what a short sale is. In contrast, a foreclosure is when the lender takes over ownership of the property and then tries to resell it in order to recoup their losses because the homeowner fell behind on their payments, and likely they have a loan balance that's higher than what their property is actually worth. So in any case, what I'm getting at is despite the surge of inventory, we're not seeing foreclosures rising big time as well. It's less than 1% of all home sales in Florida this May. And with that said, please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Mine is this giant explosion of inventory levels. And we're also seeing more multi-million-dollar properties selling right now, which is helping support overall home price growth. But mark my words, you're going to see prices decrease on a year-over-year basis in Florida here very, very soon. And of course, when that happens, I'll definitely keep you posted with an update regarding that. I'll have an update regarding the Florida housing market in about 3 weeks. I'll make a video regarding the Florida housing market, California housing market about once every month. But if you guys got any value out of today's video, please hit the like button. Also consider subscribing as well. I appreciate you. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next video.